Hey everybody, how's it going? Well, I got Mac fever, guys. I can't stop with this thing. We got to pull this cylinder off, and I'm pulling the flywheel. I have no idea if I need to pull the flywheel to pull this top end off, but there we go. Pull this flywheel off. Screw here. I'm guessing this has points. I'm going to bring you guys in close here and let's take this thing apart. I want to get this cylinder off. Okay, let's have a look at what's under this here points cover. I grew up with points. I'm not from that era, but I had an old 76. I remember it was the first Harley I ever bought. I was like 18 maybe. My dad's neighbor had it. My dad's neighbor was a bachelor, good fella. I used to go over there and, you know, hang out when I was a youngster. And one day he kind of whistled at me, pulled his timing key out, and he's like, "Hey, come check out what I got here." And I remember I walked in the garage and he said, "Look at this motorcycle." That's what he called them. And it was, let's see what we got here. Okay, well, I don't think any of this stuff is bolted down to there. I think I'm actually going to put this back on. Again, I'm learning along with you guys. I've never worked on one of these. Take these shims off. We'll leave this open. And I bought this 76 Harley off of him. It was a Ironhead Sportster. And it had points and a condenser. So I learned real quick about how to set points in that as a young man. And it's something that I haven't forgot. All there is there's basically a camshaft on the end of here. This has a little wiper actually to keep it clean. There's a camshaft and it just opens and closes the points. Let's see if you guys can see this. There, points are open, points are closed. That's all it is. It's very simple. Okay, well, I'm going to move you guys back now. Actually, I'll just leave you here. You guys have seen my ugly mug enough times. You know how purty I am. And let's see if we can get the cylinder off. There's 4 bolts through here. Let's see if you guys. There's 4 bolts through here that look like they bolt through the bottom of the cylinder. There's a small, I don't know what size that is. It's not a 3/8. There's a small bolt there. I'm just going to grab a tiny wee little wrench. I don't even know if I have a wrench that size. Yes, I do. It is a 1/4 inch. Let's see if we can get this off. Ooh. Ooh. That could be a problem. Okay, well. Okay guys, I'm going to get that screw out. Give me a second here. Okay, that bolt head's a little rounded. Just found the right. I actually grabbed it with one of these. You can see that. These types of sockets will grab darn near anything. They're quite handy. I'll have to remember that when we put this back together. Okay. So looks like there's this small bolt here. So we got to clean this exhaust port. I think I'm just going to port this, guys. I really do. I'm already in here. Let's see what we can do with a Mac. I'm going to make this thing silly. That's what I do. Because why not? So the problem with porting saws is that you get super used to horsepower that it's hard to hold back sometimes. I've said that to a lot of guys. I lack restraint when porting because I do. My saws don't blow up, but I usually, if they don't make me giggle when I'm done, I ain't happy. Okay, and we got 2 more similar bolts here. Let's see. Oh, these bolt recesses are very, very tight. Okay, we might have to take this oil pump off. I really don't want to disturb this stuff, guys, but It looks like I don't have much of a choice. Otherwise I'm not going to be able to get into here. Let's see if we can get this one out. Let's see if we can even budget with the open end. Nope. Okay, I'm going to fight with these. Okay guys, I took the auxiliary oiler off because I did not want to strip these bolts because those would be fun to get out after. I mean, I guess you could cut the tops off of them, but yeah. Always take your time on an old power saw because you never know. You never know if you can get parts. So, that's how I look at it anyways. Okay, take this one off. Again, just doing it step by step for those of you that have never worked on a Mac, and for myself, because now I can remember where all these parts go. Okay, 2 screws here. I can't wait to shine this thing up. It's well worn. It's not in terrible shape, but it's she's been around. This is a 40-plus-year-old saw. I think they made these, what, 76 and 77, so she's been around a day or two. Okay, there's that. Now there's 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4, that look like they hold the top of the clamshell on. So let's take that off. I want to have a look at this cylinder. This cylinder might not even be any good. We're going to find out. This saw does run. I'm sure there's going to be some plating wear. Just going to make sure you guys can see this. Just going to move you up a little bit here. There we go. I'm sure there's going to be plating wear. Every one of those home lights I took apart. Oh, these are super, super nasty tight. There's one. Okay. Oh, jeez. A fellow bigger than I put these on. Okay, there's that. I'm going to grab my drill and save my hands some work here. Okay guys, just grab my drill, save my hands. I generally don't put things in with power tools, but I will take saws apart with power tools. Anything to save abuse on my wrists and hands. And again, if you don't use power tools, that's okay. I just any wear and tear savings I can do on my hands at this point in the game is good, because I do this for a living all day. So okay. Well, with any luck, okay, we're gonna give this a little tap ski. Trying not to bend the fin, which we just did. Let's bend that back. You guys didn't see that. Okay. Let's see if we can get it moving. Interesting. Oh, I forgot one screw, guys. On the next issue of Tin Man Saws, Tin Man beats on a MCCULLOCH and figures out it's missing a screw. One more screw, guys, down here. And I can't even get, oh, it helps if I have the right one. Let's see if we can do this. There we go. Sorry guys, that's why I do these things live, because I want you guys to see the real deal. This is real chainsaw wrenching. This is how it goes for me. Now I'm gonna be double, triple diligent. Okay. Let's. This thing's been together for 163 years, so it might fight me a little bit. I'm gonna grab the big mallet. There we go. Okay. This cylinder don't look bad at all, guys. I've seen worse, I own worse, and I run worse. Interesting transfers. We can make this work, guys. Full of carbon in this thing. Our squish measurement is probably tighter or looser than we measured. Okay, I'm going to take our pointer off and stand this straight up. Checking the rod. Okay, so we got a small bearing on one side and a big bearing on the other side. Interesting. Okay. Looks like somebody's been in here and cleaned these up before. I can see scratches on the bearing pockets for sure. This saw's stock, never been ported. Okay, I'm just gonna do a little cleanup here on my hands and I'll bring you guys in closer. Okay, I got the MCCULLOCH all apart here and cleaned up the cylinder so you guys can see a little bit better. Let's have a closer peek at this and let's compare a MCCULLOCH cylinder to two other ones that we've seen before. I just pulled two random cylinders. I want to show you guys this stuff so that you can kind of get a better idea of designs. Okay, here's your MCCULLOCH cylinder. Just going to grab and turn the light on the camera and see if that's good enough. A little bit of wear to the plating, but it's not terrible. I did clean the combustion chamber a bit. There's your exhaust port. I started cleaning that. Now notice those transfers there. But they are more or less, they are double transfers. Primary and secondary. Your primary is here and your secondary is there. Interesting design on these. They're pretty big transfers, a lot of surface area. Let's compare that to a 576. Lower transfers are here. Upper transfers right there. So a lot less transfer area. But still, these run pretty good. And then let's go to something from the 80s. Where that one would be a modern saw. Here's a 281. Notice single transfer, lower and upper. Actually quite small when you compare to the MCCULLOCH transfers. So these are definitely ahead of their time, guys. Just thought I'd show you that. Intake port on a 281. Okay, look at it from the inside. Look at the surface area. Intake port on the Mac right there, quite wide, again ahead of its time, but look how short the duration is. It's very narrow. If you can see the difference in height, right? The height dictates how long it's open. So these have very short intake durations. Don't know why they did that, but that's what they did. 576, very narrow intake. See it there, but tall. So the 576 does it with height, the MCCULLOCH does it with width, and the 288 is kind of in between, right? So here's your piston and rod assembly. This is all carbon scoring, and you can just barely feel it. Rings are not stuck. We're gonna clean this up and see what we can do with this. Maybe you can't get a piston. Now, I can get a piston in this case. But what if you can't get a piston? A little bit of wear to the bottom of the skirt here. See the shiny spot? But all in all, not too bad. Like I said, I prefer if this wasn't here, but it looks worse. You can just barely feel it. I'll take some sandpaper and just blend that in, and we'll put it back together. And I bet you this thing will run all right. Okay, guys. Well, again, we were just going to tear this apart the other day and take it apart and run it, and it turned into this. So now I have to decide, what am I doing with this saw? I can port it. Or I can leave it stock. I'm probably just going to port it right now, guys. I see a lot of room for increases in this. It's too bad it's a clamshell, but that's what MCCULLOCH did. So we have to work with the clamshell parameters. On a normal cylinder, I can just cut the base and lower the squish. Well, you can't really do that on these, because these bearing pockets, excuse me, these bearing pockets are very precise. So we kind of are where we are. So let's see if we can work with the stock timing numbers if we decide to port this. I'm not quite there yet. I got to ponder this a little bit, and because of course you can't get a cylinder for this saw, so I got to ponder this a little bit. We're going to do a video where I'll blend this in and show you guys how easy it is. This is a pressed in wrist pin, I believe. Looks like it. So we're probably going to have to put a little heat on there and press it out on the arbor press. We can do that. You can see there's a little bit of blow by right there. And of course, that's because these rings were probably starting to stick. So we'll see if we can fix that. If not, we'll have to order another piston for this and go from there. But let's see what we can do, right? This is 100% a turd saw. A lot of missing fasteners, loose fasteners. We got exhaust scoring. We ain't hurting nothing. Plating does have some wear in the cylinder. We're not hurting anything. If this thing was pristine, I might leave it. Might. It's hard to leave things when you're a saw porter, but it does have wear. So to me, it's like, okay, how can we give this saw some new life? Bottom end is solid in this saw. Everything looks good, clean. So that makes me happy. When we fired it up on Friday night in the shop, it didn't seem to have any leaks. So again, I'm happy. It does run. It seems to fuel okay. It needs a little help though, so let's help it. This channel is as much about porting as it is about repair. So we have a lot of repairs to do on this saw. We're going to probably do some work to the cylinder and just tune her up a bit. I have to make AV mounts. The coil has a crack in it, so I'm going to have to grind that crack out and I'll glue it to keep it sealed up. What else is wrong with this saw? I'm missing numerous nuts, bolts, and fasteners. The kill switch didn't work. So we got a lot of work ahead of us. There was an exhaust leak I noticed when I pulled the exhaust off, and we have to make about 4 or 5 gaskets. So some of the gaskets we were able to save to trace. Other gaskets I'm going to have to make by hand. So that's fine. More content for you guys. I mean, how many of you have needed a gasket you can't get? Or, you know, stuff like that. Well, let's make gaskets on a video. That's what this channel is about. And it's about the old ways, repair versus replace. That's what I'm into. I would rather repair a saw than buy a new one. That's just how I am. So anyhow, guys, I call it SP70 Super Pro. It's not very super right now, but we're going to make it super. Don't you worry about that. I got to ponder this and think about what I'm going to do with this cylinder. And then we'll go from there. So anyhow, as always, thanks for watching. Take her easy, guys. Thanks for coming here. So happy that I have a Mac on here. Thanks, Caleb. I appreciate it, buddy. Later, guys.